I've got a Christmas tree, a pile of wool sweaters, my whips, and a dog. Let's do this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 123 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine, on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes on the corresponding numbered thread of the This Old Knit Ravelry group. I'm coming to you today. It is December 26th. From Central Connecticut, and you may or may not have your camera get knocked down right now by a very curious Great Pyrenees. I think it's been about a month since I last podcast, and a lot has happened, but I have been doing Vlogmas, so for everyone that is catching my Vlogmas, a lot of this is probably going to be repeated content for you. Trying to not have so much of the window in the frame because it's very bright. Ada, don't knock my tea over. So just to address the elephant in the room, the very large white fuzzy elephant who I'm petting right now while sitting down. So that gives you an idea of how huge she is. Here she is. This is Ada. She is a 1-year-old Great Pyrenees, and she's a rescue, so I guess kind of sort of a rescue. But a friend of mine from work, her daughter had Ada from when she was a baby. She purchased her from a breeder, and then her son is very allergic and has other respiratory issues as well, so she had to rehome her. And my friend Wanda was talking at work and saying that she was really tired of this giant fluffy white dog being in her house because she was keeping her at her house while Lorena was working, and to keep the dog separate from the baby. And I was like, what kind of large fluffy dog does she have? And she's like, oh, it's a Great Pyrenees. It's huge. It's just a baby. It's going to get giant. And I really need to find a new home for her. And I'm like, well, I've always wanted a Great Pyrenees. So I talked to Josh. He was on board. We just had to get Joshua and Megwin comfortable because if I haven't mentioned it on the podcast, the neighbor's dog has bitten both of my children multiple times. So they aren't allowed over there anymore. And they developed a fear of dogs. They never had one before, but they did develop a fear of dogs. So I didn't think it was going to happen for a while because we had an initial visit and Joshua was very apprehensive. So I said, well, we need to do a home visit just to make sure that he's not going to get freaked out if this dog is up in his business. And it seemed like that home visit just wasn't happening. Lorena was pretty overwhelmed with a lot of different things happening in her life. But we did finally make it happen, and Joshua seemed neutral to slightly nervous about the dog. So we're like, well, we're willing to work through it. So she dropped her off at probably the worst possible time that there could have been. There was a horrible stomach virus ripping through the house. I think Josh got it first. Yeah, it was Josh, Joshua, Megwin, and then me last. So we got her on a Friday, and that Saturday night is when I got this ridiculous, horrible, highly contagious stomach virus. And yeah, I was basically just laying on the bathroom floor and vomiting. But we got through it. There was a lot of also icy rain, so we were having to dry her off every time after she came in from outside. She had quite a few potty accidents the first day or two, and then we reverted to leash training for her, which is where you just have the dog on their leash all the time in the house, and you either have it attached to your body or you're just holding it in your hand. So it actually fit very nicely onto the armrest of my chair, my like rolling desk chair. So I just let her have as much leash as would work. And she could wander around in the living room and the kitchen with that much leash, but she wasn't allowed to go anywhere else. She's just starting to get freedom into my craft room. That's kind of the last place that she's been allowed to go because she did have a few accidents in here on the floor. And she also is interested in yarn, but not, she hasn't eaten any of it yet. She just has mouthed a couple of the skeins, and then she's really good about if you tell her to give you something, she'll just like stop, and either she'll drop it or she'll just stand there in a defeated way with it in her mouth until you come and take it. So anyway, she's great. We did rename her for Ada Lovelace, who was the partner of Charles Babbage and the first computer programmer, and of course a woman. So all of my dogs are named after scientists or mathematicians. She's barking about something. Ada! I might have to get some dog cookies to keep her in here. Come here, sweet girl. What if I give you a chew stick? You want a chew stick? You want a chew stick? Should I give you one? What do you think? Yes? Okay, hang on. Okay. I gave her a chew stick. I have the other half of it. I put it inside of her bone, so hopefully it'll get her interested in her bone, and we can continue with our podcast. I'm drinking some Sugar Cookie Sleigh Ride out of my Sock Monkey mug. Maybe. It's way too hot. I still can't drink it. Good grief. Oh my God. So what I thought I would do today is a 2019 year in review for knitting. I've done these for, I think, a couple of years now, where I just go through the different things that I've knit throughout the course of the year. It's kind of fun for me to go back and look and see how much I've accomplished. And this year was definitely the year of the sweaters. So I got a new journal when I was in Ohio. I had to go there for work the first week of December. So again, those watching Vlogmas, you've seen I was extremely sick. So I basically got sick the week of Thanksgiving. So it was when we were in California visiting family. I got really sick, and then I just kind of progressed down. And as soon as I got home from California, I had time to wash my clothes and repack for a trip to Ohio for work. And the kids were very, very angry about that. And they were terrible for Josh as a result. It was a bad week. But the one nice thing is I went to Tuesday morning. I got a bunch of journals. I got a bunch of twinkle lights to decorate the house. I found unicorn twinkle lights. Kind of awesome. So now I can have twinkle lights up year round because I have some fall ones. I've got the Christmas ones. These are just red, so I really could use those for Valentine's Day as well. And then I will put the unicorn ones up when it is the off season, that it isn't any kind of holiday. But long story short, I love these journals that feel like they're a book cover. So this one says, "Not all those who wander are lost." J.R.R. Tolkien quote. And I liked that it also has kind of camping stuff. And it's just a nice, it feels like those books that have the kind of textured canvas covers. And I wrote in here as my first page, my 2019 finished objects. So I'm sorry, I'm very chatty today. We have not had a podcast in a month, so I have a lot to talk about. But I sort of went in order of what I finished, and I just realized one of these sweaters is in the basement. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to insert pictures for it because Ada just settled down and I don't want to disturb her. If I go in the basement, she will get freaked out. So we're just going to go with it. So the first sweater that I completed, these are in a very precarious pile. was my Vogue Knitting Live sweater. I have not decided yet if I'm going to go to VKL in 2020. Yeah, I don't know. If I do, I will probably go down and come back the same day. Maybe just catch a train down, go to the show, and then come back in the evening. Because I've been traveling a lot for work, and yeah, I'm tired of it. Kind of tired of it. So, and I don't feel like I really want to get a bunch of yarn again. So it would really just be to hang out with friends, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But I can decide a little closer to the time frame, given that I'm not going to try to go stay overnight. That makes it easier. I can purchase a train ticket much closer to the time. So anyway, this is my Professor Meow sweater. It is a kit that you can buy from Knit Picks. I believe it was designed for like their Knit Picks designer series. Catherine Daimler, I think, is the name of the designer. And I had the pink kit, but the original is in this gray with a white or a cream color for the cat. It is Knit Picks Wonder Fluff. So it's an alpaca blend yarn. It's like a chainette, I think is what it's called. So it's like a chainette, and then the fibers are blown into it. So it's super light, very fluffy, and it is very warm. I don't actually wear it super frequently because while it is warm on the body, then my arms are very cold. So it was perfect for VKL, but I think what I need is a black or gray long-sleeved shirt to wear under it. And then I probably would wear it more frequently. But I do like it. It was fun. This was my first ever Intarsia project. And I learned that Intarsia is not hard at all. And I was already basically doing it for color work. It's kind of like catching your floats. You just twist them and then you leave the ball of yarn hanging there till you come back around to it, if that makes sense. So it's a very straightforward technique. I definitely do not feel intimidated by Intarsia anymore. And it was a great VKL sweater. So that was sweater number 1. Sweater number 2 that I knit was Little Cabin. This one is heavy. It is the opposite of that one. It is also out of an alpaca blend yarn though. So this was the oldest sweater quantity I had in my stash. It is Blue Sky Surrey Merino. And I bought it off a D-stash when I first was starting to really become a knitter with a capital K. I believe I bought it off a D-stash from Mary Annarella. And it was when she was just starting to design stuff. We were in a Yarn Snobs group together on Ravelry, and I left that group. Like at the time, everybody was like really into the Sundara yarn, if anyone remembers that. And I don't know, it's a weird feeling, that group. Like if you didn't buy luxury yarn, you kind of felt ostracized to a certain extent. And at that time, was I finishing school? No, I was done with school, but I was just starting my career. So I did not have a ton of disposable income. We lived in a rent-controlled 900 square foot apartment. My then boyfriend and now husband and I. And so this was a big splurge for me to buy Blue Sky Surrey Merino. I bought it in 2005 and I just knit it in 2019. So it was a 14-year-old stash, but just as beautiful as the day I bought it. I love this sweater. The only thing is that I think it's a little bit long. I did wear it for one of my Vlogmas episodes. You can see like it's very long, but this part is very fitted. So kind of when it gets over my hips and butt area, it's a little tight. So I think what I'm going to do, I did not work in some of the ends. on the inside so that I could like unpick around, separate two parts, unravel, and graft it together. So that's what I'm going to do, but it is going to take some time to do that. So I have not as yet done that. However, I do like the sweater. I changed it from the original design. I made, I think I did the whole top part, like the whole chest part in garter because I didn't want bobbles on my chest. If you are a larger busted gal, you will know what I'm talking about, but I think bobbles do not look very good on me in this area. So then number 3 is the sweater I don't have. It is called As You Like It. It was a test knit for Sally Jane, who is Pink Hair Girl Knits. I knit it out of a one-of-a-kind skein that I got from my Aunt Lynn's stash. It's like brown with variegated speckles and stripes of pumpkin kombucha and harpsichord from Bull & Vine Yarns, and a skein of Malabrigo sock in the brick colorway. All of those were gifted to me. So it's a very meaningful sweater for me, and I really love it. It turned out beautifully. I'm gonna knit another As You Like It, I think in Halloween-y colors. So I have Shawen by Once Upon a Corgi. I have some left of the pumpkin kombucha, and Grimm from Bull & Vine Yarns. I'm going to knit those 3 together as stripes. So Grimm's going to be the main stripe, and then the pumpkin kombucha and the Shawen from Gabby. It's going to be gorgeous and amazing and autumnal and Halloween-y and beautiful. So I really love that sweater. I highly recommend it. There are not nearly enough finished objects made out of that pattern. Sally Jane is a great designer. Her patterns are very well laid out and written, and you should go and check it out. Then the next one that I knit, really, Nina? Okay, hang on. Okay, I've not unpacked my whole suitcase from my trip to Ohio because I came back and I was disgustingly sick, and then I was just disgusted with the whole process. So I took out, part of it too was that I had Christmas gifts. I bought most of the rest of the kids' Christmas gifts at Tuesday morning, and I left them in the suitcase because I knew the kids wouldn't mess with it because they would think it was just mommy's boarding clothes. So I want to do that. Maybe today I will finish unpacking that. It'll be a cleansing process. I'm actually going to put that on because I'm freaking cold. It's really cold right now in this craft room. It's been really warm. So it's been weird for the heat. I also have a messy bun that I keep bumping. This is not going to match, and I really don't care. It's like the weirdest outfit ever. There you go. Okay. Like a Oompa Loompa. So anyway, I had to go get my sweaters because they were still in the bag. So I can show you the As You Like It. So here it is. I did 3/4 sleeves only because I ran out of this color, and that was my main stripe. So on the right side, I know exactly how much of this color I need to be able to do all the striping, and I believe I will have enough for using Grimm. However, if I do not, I might use, I have some Yarn at Home Mom yarn that I've got 2 skeins of gray. I might use that instead because Grimm, I've got like a skein and then some leftovers because I used it in my shawl, my Half Moon Oracle shawl. And then I bought another skein. Kristen doesn't diet anymore. She doesn't have blitzed anymore. This is a theme on like every podcast episode. I'm not bitter. I just love glitter. I'm not bitter. I love glitter. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Sorry, not sorry. This is festively ridiculous right now. I don't even care. I'm warm. Oh, that tea is good. So good. Okay. So the next sweater that I made, now that we've seen As You Like It, is the Sperry sweater. This one was on my to knit list for years, literally years. I love everything Amy Miller knits and designs, as you all know. And this one was just a total joy to knit. I love it. I love wearing it. I love how it looks on me. It fits like a dream. I love the boat neck. And I'm going to make another one soon. Like I might cast on in the next day or two. I'm just trying to finish up some socks that are on my needles. I like to clear a lot of things going into the new year, and I'm feeling that feeling right now of wanting to finish things. So I'll show soon, but I finished a pair of socks for Megwin, and I'm close to finishing a pair of socks for Josh. And then I've got one cheer sock done, and I want to get the other one done so I can wear them on New Year's Day for 2020. So this is the Sperry sweater. I knit this out of some very vintage Volan Vine. Say that 5 times fast. Which was in the Stellar Banshee colorway. Yes, Stellar Banshee colorway. And the contrast color is Moonstone Dye Works in Atomic Rust, which was a one-of-a-kind that Tommy did. And I think it looks like exactly the color of echinacea flowers. Like that pinky color. And then it had some like rust-colored speckles in it, which looked like the middle part. So I love it. My next one, I will not do the shirt tail hem. I could not do the shirt tail hem as written. It folded up and annoyed the crap out of me. So I went back and I did ribbing on either side of it, and that is perfect. Otherwise, I knit it exactly as written, and it turned out amazing. So then next, I knit a sock head hat, which I also don't have to show. It was a teacher gift for Megwin's 3rd grade teacher who did so much for her. We moved to Connecticut in 2018, and yeah, she just really helped her a lot with acclimating. She was a good resource for her, and Megwin still just talks about her and loves her to death. She was a kindergarten teacher that got moved up to 3rd grade teacher because they didn't have enough 3rd grade teachers, and I think that just really contributed to her patience and empathy and understanding. So I wanted to do something special for her, so I knit her a sock head out of Felici yarn in the Glacier colorway. And I will insert a picture here. So it's like icy blues and mints. Her favorite color is blue, so that is what we knit, and apparently she wears it all the time, so that's great. And then I'm going to put my tea over here so I can reach it. Let me move my little wooden Santa. Isn't he cute? He needs to move. Okay. Then I knit a sock head hat for Josh, which he has on his head right now for the gym. So it was out of the Sticks and Stones colorway of Felici. It was vintage Felici from my Aunt Lynn's stash. I really tried to go through a lot of the yarn I got from my Aunt Lynn's stash this year. Part of my thought was it had been sitting in her stash for a long time, and I just don't want that to be a habit that I form. So I tried to just use a lot of it in things this year. I will put a picture in here. And it is basically colors of sticks and stones. So it is a light gray, a dark gray, a light brown, a dark brown, maybe a cream. I'm trying to remember from my brain, but you've seen it now. So that was another socket. And then I did a pair of socks for Josh out of the West Yorkshire Spinners Mallard colorway. And he also has those on today. I did the contrast heel and toe in Knit Picks Rosada in the Cocoa colorway. Again, that's been discontinued for years. I've had that yarn in my stash since before we moved to Ohio. So it is from 2007. So again, a lot of good stuff getting out of my stash. 12-year-old stash. So now we're back to things I have. I knit a Tanya out of, again, Vintage Wool and Vine. It was in the Jilted Rose colorway, and I ran out. And this is not a color that Kristen can reproduce. So I had to do my sleeves and my neckline in a different colorway. Marianne helped me out. She had a skein, which I'm going to use the rest of on my next Sperry sweater. And the only thing I would have to say about this is my armholes are still a little tight. And I added for, I went up to the next size, but because you basically knit the whole thing and then you go and pick up the armholes, so you knit bottom up. Yeah, if I were able to do it again and I had enough yarn, I would knit it with a longer arm side so that was not a problem. It's just been folded, so it's not gonna look very nice. But yeah, it was really nice in the summer. It looks good with jeans. I would like to sew a denim skirt this year. I think with the moss skirt pattern. So if I do that, I think this will be really nice to pair with that. Then I knit a Scylla. And I finished this around about the time that all of the controversy was going on with Caitlin Hunter. I don't know if she's changed the way that she's interacting with the BIPOC community or not. I stopped following her at that point, and I'm not purchasing any of her patterns, but I did have quite a few of her patterns, like pretty much all of them up to that point. So that's kind of unfortunate, but you know, whatever. I'm sad that I did not support, make better supporting decisions. Anyway, I love my sweater. I worked hard on it. It is my work and I enjoy wearing it. It does fit me very nicely. It feels good. I love the yarn. And yeah, so this yarn is, it's the Yarn at Home Mom. It's in the glitter base, the shimmer base. The shimmer? Yeah. She didn't name it at the time when I bought it. So I bought it when she was closing her shop for a while. And then she decided to reopen it. But I got it at a pretty deep discount. I believe it's Fathom is what she named it. It is the most beautiful teal ever. So good. And then I paired it with Wool and Vine yarns on the Volca base in the Lady of the Lake colorway, which again is one of my favorite of Kristen's blues. Yeah, it's got all these great speckles. It's not as good as Special Snowflake. Special Snowflake will always have a special place in my heart, but this is easily my second favorite blue of Kristen's. So good. So yeah, it has full sleeves. The only thing I would say about this one is this part can be a little tight getting it on. It's fine once it's on, but yeah, it's just a little bit tight down at this part, which hits right here where there's that bone. So there's not really anything to squish in on my wrist. It's pretty just bony, and there's not a lot of meat there. So anyway, that is that sweater. I've been thinking about maybe ripping out the bind off and adding a little bit of length, because I kind of would like it to be maybe an inch longer. That's something I learned for 2019. When you think you're done with the bottom ribbing, Nina, you're not done. Do another inch. You're welcome. Then I knit my Rhinebeck sweater, because that was supposed to be my Rhinebeck sweater, but I did not want to broadcast a message of not being inclusive to anyone. I didn't want anyone to look at me and think I was making a statement that I was not supporting the BIPOC community. So I knit a sweater in a month so that I could still have a Rhinebeck sweater. And I also entered it into the sweater knit along for the Woolly Thistle. I got all my yarn from the Woolly Thistle. I did not win the grand prize, but I did win one of the weekly prizes. So I got a $25 gift card. She's being so good for the podcast. Best podcast dog. Okay, so I knit it all out of Tuku wool, and this is the Vinterfjell. It is a pattern by Skeindir. This is the Kayo colorway, the kind of brick red. Sake is the cream color, and then this Uyo is the blushy mauvey pink. I did not do any waist shaping, and I regret that now, because down on the body, there is probably 6 inches of positive ease. I am going to rip this body back to, there, and add waist shaping, because it is so gigantic and it's too short. I ran out of yarn too, so the only way I could have increased the length would have been to do decreases. I bought another skein though. Maybe 2 skeins? Did I buy 1 or 2? Anyway, I bought more yarn. So I will have enough to add more length. I would like this to be at least 2 inches longer and smaller. Because I have such a large differential between my bust and my waist. Even when stuff is supposed to have positive ease, or even if it has negative ease on my bust, it's still positive ease on my waist. And I just don't like how it fits me. It's really not my style. So I wear it kind of to bum around the house, but not when I go out and about. And that's sad, because it's a beautiful sweater and I want to wear it more. So anyway, that's going to happen, but not today. All right, and then we're getting into gifts. So I made the Marit mittens, also by Skeindir, for my sister. That was supposed to be a Christmas gift for last year. I gave them to her when she was here at Rhinebeck. I knit them out of Blacker Yarns Classic is a discontinued yarn, and Blacker Yarns West Country Tweed. It was the inverse palette of what I knit for Kristen for last year's Christmas gift. So the background was light blue, and then the contrast color was olive. And I will insert a picture of those here. Luckily, she was here. I could have her try them on and make sure that the thumb fit well and everything. They did fit very well. So then I did the Gramps sweater for my husband, aka the husband sweater. I just noticed when I was getting it to show that I missed weaving in one end, because it's me. This was for the family photos. They turned out amazing. We're both very happy to have some photos of us together, especially because the last ones we had were when we were getting married or when we were dating. So it's kind of a fun contrast to see after, all these years. 16 years? Yeah, we started dating in 2003, so 16 years. Oh, we were so young. It is a giant sweater designed by Tin Can Knits for a baby, but the sizing goes all the way up to 4 or 5XL. And this is the 2XL, and it's a 56-inch chest, I believe. He wears this all the time. I'm surprised I have it to show to you because he typically would wear it on a day like this, but he did not. He grabbed his regular jacket, so I have it to show. I knit it out of Barocco Vintage, and it's just a navy blue color. Barocco just has numbers. I don't have any of the labels left, so I can't show you. I put these great vintage leather buttons on it that I bought at New England Fiber Festival. I love those so much. They're the best touch. It took 9 of them, but it closes very well. It doesn't gap at all. And it has a huge shawl collar. And I'm going to insert one of our family pictures here with him wearing it so you can see what it looks like on. Yep. And then the other sweater that was featured in that family photo was Joshua's. And he loves this sweater. He wore it 2 days in a row for school. He didn't want to change because he said it was so warm. He wanted to keep it on. So he loves it to death, and I'm so happy. This is the Flax Light pullover by Tin Can Knits. I forget what size I made. I'm definitely going to knit him another one, probably one size up from this. Look, I'm a tiny baby. Because this one fits really well, but it probably won't fit next year. So it has enough room to have like a button-up shirt underneath of it, but yeah, it's not got a lot of positive ease. Just okay. He's very thin, like super slender. So it's okay. It works out. I knit this out of a very precious doppelganger set from No Makers. It is the Gnome Some Dove colorway, and this is the semi-solid skein that came with it. I don't know what the name of it was. But yeah, I really love it. It's got this great garter detail on the sleeve. And it's just real, it's a nice little sweater. So that was my final sweater of 2019. I was hoping I would get my yellow so faded done, but it's not going to happen at this point. It's not going to happen. And that's okay. So I finished 11 sweaters, not 12. That would have made my 12th. And then I finished a pair of socks for Megwin, and I don't know where I put them. And that is the final thing I finished for 2019. Unless I finish Josh's. Ha! These are in My First Regia. I had 2 of the mini balls. Sorry, making sure it's recording. We just flipped over to a new segment. So anyway, I used My First Regia. They come in like little mini balls, a little bit bigger than the Opal. Like the Opal minis that came in the advent calendars is probably like 2 of those. That's about how much. So these are shorty socks for Megwin. And then I used a coordinating skein. These were leftovers from a fiber optic skein. I believe it was called Mona or something, the colorway. But anyway, it's like a pinky peach. And it really goes well. And I basically knit until I ran out of yarn. So on both of these, I have just like maybe a yard left of this yarn. And then I started the toe, and it worked out perfectly. So I've woven in ends on one of them. I have to weave in ends on the other one. I'm going to give these to Megwin as a New Year's gift to start 2020. So that is all of the things that I knit in 2019. I knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 things, 11 of which were sweaters. Not bad. Pretty freaking good, I think. So anyway, that was my 2019 in review. And now I will move on to WIPs. So here, as I mentioned, is my Cheers sock. I'm going to cast on the second one. We'll see if I finish it in time or not. Not a big deal. I will at least be working on it on New Year's Eve. It's a colorway by Jinx Yarns. She made it 2 years ago for her New Year's color. And it's different colors of beverages. So there's like champagne and beer, hot chocolate. I feel like there's some kind of like hot drink in there. Maybe this one. And then I used a coordinating skein for the heels and toes from the Crafts Meow. My friend Gwen, she's actually dyeing yarn again. So you can get her yarn now. I think she's on Etsy. So it's a very beautiful pine color. And I had it from years ago. I did a test knit for a sock for her that has colorwork trees on it and kind of like a ruffly cuff. And this was the skein that she dyed for me to use for the trees. So it's a semi-solid, but it's got, you know, some variegation to it. It's very beautiful. So I need to do that other sock. And that is potential first finished object of 2020. And then there's also acquisitions in here, so I did not make this easy for myself at all. This is where I'm at on Josh's sock. Oh yeah, I didn't show you this. Oh. I showed it on Vlogmas. It's very confusing because I've shown everything on Vlogmas. Okay, here's my first sock. It is in the Woodsy colorway from Patons Kroy. And then this is some leftover of that Cocoa Rosada. I used a full skein to get to here, but it wasn't enough to do Josh's whole foot. So I just kept going with the contrast color and then did the decreases for the toe. I probably should have done a coordinating heel and toe, but I kind of wanted to see how far I could get with one whole skein of Patons. And clearly I cannot make a pair of socks for him out of 2 skeins of Patons Kroy. I do need a coordinating, at least toe, but heel toe probably would have been a little bit better. And the second one, I finished all of my gusset decreases, and I am now just working my way down the foot. So maybe I will be done with that tonight or tomorrow. And then I will do the toe, and then he will have another pair of socks to wear. And they are in a bag that I won from Charmed and Dangerous, was doing a giveaway. And she gave away one of her lovely little charms. It is a Santa Hedgehog and then this bag. And I'm forgetting who the bag maker was, so I apologize. I will try to look, and if I can, I will put a caption up here that says who the bag maker is, but it is a really nice drawstring bag with a little D-ring on it. So that's that. And the other thing that's in here is my test knit that I'm doing for Skein-anigans. And she designed this to go with a Sprout advent calendar. So it's Seed Sprout Yarn Company. Oh God, I don't remember. I even have some of their yarn. I feel like it's Sprout Sock. That's going to be I will guarantee that that stupid face I just made will be the one that YouTube picks for my thumbnail, because YouTube always picks the dumbest expression you make. And that's what it suggests, because apparently you need to look stupid on the internet. Yeah. Drives me crazy. So it is a half pie shawl. It's going to be huge, which is awesome. I'm using my mini skeins from my Yarn at Home Mom yarn calendar, advent calendar, and then leftovers from a couple of my shawls. So I had a half skein of Poe left from my Half Moon Oracle shawl, and that's the gray. So it's Wool and Vine Yarns on her Volca base. I don't know if she dyes Poe anymore or not. It was a skein I had for a really long time, and I don't recall seeing it in her shop in the recent past. But it's a very light pearly gray. And then I just started doing like a variant of green and red. So I did kind of this green with pink speckles, then a cherry red with pink, this green with like purpley speckles. This is mauve with green. That one just blends in the most, but I'm not going to go back and rip it out. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay. Then this one was the one that was the day after that one. So again, a green, and then a pink, and then a mint green. And now I ran out of Poe. So this is Weep. So this is the rest of what I had for my hat. But knowing how much it took, I really needed a full skein to do it as coordinating. So if you do decide to make this shawl, and you really should, because it's all garter and it uses short rows. So if you could do garter and short rows, this is an awesome shawl. It is very intuitive and very relaxing. So it was a great Christmas break knit. So anyway, I had a half skein of Poe and a half skein of Weep left from my sparkling cider hat. So it's going to be light gray on half of it and dark gray on the other half. I think it's going to look pretty good. So now I've started on the dark gray. And then I think my next mini, oops, that's going to be after, is going to be this one. So it's more of a semi-solid red, and then it'll be this one. They're kind of popping out on the top. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I should have 12 gray, 6 of the light and 6 of the dark, and 12 of my minis from the Yarn at Home Mom in reds and greens. And then you go back on the top part and you do a little dip, another little half circle to complete the half pie shawl. So that will probably be in the dark gray, or maybe in a mini. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how it looks, but I think the gray will pull it together a little bit more and keep it more harmonious. I would like to make another one at some point, I think, and do rainbow, because that would be fun. It would also be fun to do rainbow with black in between, or a gradient. So yeah, doing a gradient across would be beautiful, or just a collection of fun minis that you love. It's just a fun pattern. So this is my entire wingspan, and I haven't even blocked it yet. And that's half of it. So it's going to be amazing. And I also, bonus, could use it as a tree skirt also at the holidays. It would be a fun pattern to knit as a tree skirt. If you knit it in worsted, it would definitely be a good tree skirt pattern. Okay, and then I think this is the one that has the marker on it. Pretty sure. Yes. So I knit a little bit more on my hat for Joshua. Then I kind of got into the socks. He has a lot of hats, but this one I will try to complete this winter. And I got a black pom-pom for it too. So here's the charm that I won. Isn't he so cute? He's the cutest. And this is a sockhead hat that I'm knitting for Joshua, or really anyone, because it's just the standard sockhead size. This is out of Knit Picks Felici in the Firefighter colorway. I'm using 2.75 mil needles and just normal sockhead pattern. So I'll be able to wear it. Josh could wear it. Megan could wear it. And Joshua, of course. I like to make hats that we all can just grab and throw on if we need to, because sometimes you can't find your children's hats and you got to improvise. And it's in a Christmas bag that I sewed for myself a couple of years ago, but it's one of my faves. I love this fabric. That's a fat quarter I found it Tuesday morning, and they had like no fat quarters. When I went there, no holiday fat quarters. They were all gone, which was a bummer, but whatever. It's fine. I have a lot of them still. So that is that. Speaking of bags, Autumn, who is Coddington, donated a bag for our final Stash Your Shelf Challenge prize for 2019. So I will be drawing for that probably New Year's Day. So if you are entering a finished object, just make sure that you get them all in by January 1st, so I can close the thread and draw for prizes. And I also was thinking I might draw one grand prize just with everything from the thread and give away a $10 or less Ravelry download pattern for a thank you for everyone for supporting the podcast for this year, and also for participating in our year-long knit-along. That is that order of business. And then the final thing I've been knitting on, which is in my delightful Feminist Knit Club bag. I love this bag so much. I carried it with me while I was traveling. It was the best bag. It is from Nerdbird Makery, and at the time when she was selling these, it was with an extra bit that she's going to donate to whomever the eventual Democratic nominee is. Fingers crossed it will be a woman. So I wanted to support that as well. And remember to vote, everyone. So inside of this is my mitten advent calendar, which it's not that I lost steam on it, but I promised Skananigans that I would do the test knit. So I kind of put these to the side and worked on the shawl instead of these fun colorwork mittens. But they are so cute and so much fun. Plus, I wanted to do the mitten thumbs with double points because they are so tiny that doing them on 2 circs is a little bit annoying. And I don't really care about them being wearable, so I don't care if I get a little ladder on the one side, so I could probably do them flat with 2 double points. So anyway, I've done 3, and I have thumbs to complete on 2 of them. I did finish the number 1, and I'm doing them predominantly out of Knit Picks palette, but I also used some other yarns. Essentially that I'm doing them all in Stash yarn. So this is a red and a white. I think this is Cayenne, the red, and then white Knit Picks palette. This one is in Lang Yabul. Yeah. And the Knit Picks palette, and in white and red. The Lang is a thick and thin yarn, so it looks a little more hand spun, but I really like the effect, and it's Tweety. So this is my number 2. The white is a very subtle contrast on it. And the 2 is kind of hard to see without it being blocked. They also have Latvian braids on them because of course they do. They're so cute. So that was number 2. And then number 3, this one I redid like 3 times. So I started it with Knit Picks palette in a yellow I had. It was too bright and it did not contrast enough with the white. So you couldn't see the number. And I'm like, well, what's the point if you can't see the number? Then I did it with, this is Rauma Phenol Garn that Kristen gifted me for a birthday gift. I think she brought it back from Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So it's a gold color. I don't know what the colorway is. It's probably a number. And then Knit Picks palette in white and Lang Yabul in that little grayish color. So the contrast again is very subtle on this one. So the stripe in the middle of the diamond pattern is the Lang Yabul, and then everything else is white. And this one I was knitting while I was sitting and waiting for my flight to come home, my second flight, and they changed the gate on me. So I was settled in, knitting on a colorwork mitten, watching The Office on my phone. And then I was like, there really should be a plane out there. Why haven't they said something about it boarding? Or, you know, they give you instructions on like, okay, here's our boarding process. You kind of tune it out, but you know what's happening. That hadn't happened. There was no plane. And it was only like 15 minutes before we were supposed to board. So I'm like, I'm going to get up and just check. And I went and checked, and they changed my gate. Not just to a different gate number, to a different terminal. And it was in Chicago. So if you've ever been to the Chicago airport, and maybe some of you haven't because I have international viewers, it is all the way at the other end of the airport. I had 15 minutes to get there. I had been like very ill with a like sinus infection that got into my chest. So I was having trouble with coughing and breathing. So I sprinted from one end of Terminal A all the way to the other end of Terminal B, like yelling for people to move so that I didn't run into people because I couldn't have stopped. I was in my bean boots, so I was running in like rubber boots, coughing and hacking, but I am a good sprinter. I am not in a good shape at the other end, but I can move when I need to, and I needed to. So I sprinted as fast as I could, like full on, I'm gonna make this. I don't even care if I'm vomiting on the other end. And I got there in time for my boarding position because I was in Group A. So I coughed the entire rest of the flight home. And I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack because I was so scared that I was gonna miss my flight and I did not want to be trapped. I didn't know if work would pay if I missed my flight because I had a 2-hour layover. There was no reason I should have had to sprint. I got there in plenty of time. I looked at my gate. I sat down. Should have been fine. So anyway, that's the last mitten I knit. And I cast on for the next one. And this one's going to be in a forest green and white. And this is also Knit Picks palette. And this is that charm that I found in the dirt at Rhinebeck. It's a Christmas cupcake. I love this pattern. It is the Mitten Advent Calendar by Kathy Lewinsky. Highly recommend it. They are fun. They're super fun and great for leftovers. I think my mom's making one too. So we can keep each other motivated to have it ready for next year's Christmas time. That is all of my, no it's not. I lie. You lie! I have my Stoker shawl, which I don't have with me, but I think I haven't done anything else since I showed it last. The last thing that I have on my needles, which has my pumpkin narwhal on it. He's so cute. I love him. Don't be jealous, Ada. I love you more. Don't be jealous, it's you. This is a shawl that I fell in love with when I was on my last work trip. And we were in like a big seminar room and it was so cold. So my friend Andrea brought her Moss on the Old Oak shawl. I texted her and I was like, I need batteries for my mouse and I need a shawl because I did not bring one like a ridiculous person. And I know you have some. And she's like, oh yeah. So she brought me the Slanket shawl to be all Slanket shawls. And I fell in love with it. And she wouldn't let me put it in my suitcase and take it home. So I had to make my own. Anyway, she made hers out of, I believe, Malabrigo Arroyo. I think it was Malabrigo Arroyo, but it's a worsted weight shawl. And I had a bunch of Dream in Color Classy from 2008. 2008? Yes, 2008. I didn't have Meg one yet. I think I was pregnant with her at that wool gathering. No, I couldn't have been. It was my first wool gathering. I was not pregnant with her. 2009. I would have been pregnant with her because she was born in December. Anyway. This is in the Gothic Rose colorway. So it is a burgundy with some purple and kind of olivey tones. It's really hard to describe, but it's a gorgeous color. I got enough to make a sweater and I never did it. So clearly it needs to be a giant blanket. The Moss on the Old Oak shawl is a triangular shawl that is huge. It has some texture. It starts with a very ingenious seed stitch tab. Not a garter tab, but a seed stitch tab. And it looks good. So I definitely want to knit more on this. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I want to knit on this. I don't want to knit on Josh's socks. But I want this shawl. Something fierce. So yeah, that's the other thing I cast on before my trip. And I knit on that a bit. But I was just so sick. I did not knit as much as I could have. And I worked a ton. So I was like working all day and then going back to the hotel and working until like midnight. My friend Andrea came over one night and knit and worked with me until the evening. We ate chocolate cake balls. It was great. And then my mom came over and stayed the night, one night, and the other night we went out to dinner together. So we made the best of it. All right. So then acquisitions really quickly, because I think my husband is done at the gym and he's going to be heading home soon. I could not pass up the mystery colorway that Kristen did for the winter solstice. Whenever she does mystery colors, I have to. I just have to. And I'm thinking this will look really good with the Gothic Club. There might have to be another fade. A Gothic fade. But anyway, this is Winter Solstice in Valaris. I got it on Footsie. So it's kind of like a grayish taupey color with purples and blues. I think it'll look really good with, I have one that's Edinburgh. I think maybe with Edinburgh, this, and one of the Gothic Yarn Club colorways. Would make a really pretty grayish taupey sweater. This color. I don't have any sweaters, except for all my sweaters in this color. I don't have a fade sweater in this color. I'm just going to knit gray and pink sweaters forever. Don't judge me. I know what I like. So that was my first acquisition. My second acquisition was Delightful Amy from the Stranded podcast was having a huge anniversary sale in her shop. And I got enough of her Christmas colors to knit a sweater. My thought is that I would do a short sleeved sweater with like some color work on the yoke. So I got 2 of the gingerbread house color. Which is really fun. It's cream with different multicolored speckles. And then the coordinating, whew, that smells like vinegar. It hasn't been opened since I got it. I've been keeping it safe for you with her Christmas red colorway. And it is such a bright, festive, beautiful red. I love it. So good. Yeah. So that is definitely going to have to be something. Something fun. I originally was thinking a short sleeves Vibe, but now I don't know. So anyway, that was that. I don't think I've ever bought any Stranded before. I think that's my first Stranded. Then my day 25 skein from my Yarn at Home Mom calendar. Again, super fun. It is called Wonderful Christmas Time. I think it's probably going to stripe. I think ones that look like this will have a striping effect. So it's got that like neon green and turquoise, some pink, and a burgundy. And I think I saved one of the minis that's this color. So if I wanted to do socks, I could do coordinating heels and toes. Yeah, it's good though. It's really fun. I really enjoyed her advent calendar. It was super fun. And she also sent me the wooden advent calendars that I've been using for the kids, because she was going to put the minis in there and then the drawers were too small. So she had several left over and asked if I wanted them. I was like, yeah, I totally need to get advent calendars for the kids. So I have 2 of these now. And if you watched my Vlogmas, I filled them with candy. So I bought a bunch of miscellaneous candies and I put some in each drawer. So I think they've all been eaten now. They sort of got behind that last week. Oh, no. There's some in day 23. I might eat those. Don't tell on me. Oh, God. Now I've done that. Got a lot of little knickknacks on my thing. Okay. Then I got a Knit Picks order to get the Felici and hamburger, which I don't know where I put, but I did get that. I will be casting it on, I think, for socks for Joshua and maybe me. And they had a new thing called Hawthorne sock reels. So this is their Hawthorne sock yarn, but they're in a sock blank that's knit into like a little tube. So it's like a reel. It's ingenious. So it's even better than a sock blank because it's like small and you can stack them. They're perfect for storing and they are beautiful. If you go online, you can see their colorways. So they knit up in self-striping and they're just so cool. So I got the sun bleached stripe and the rugby stripe. Out of practice. Out of practice, guys. So yeah, I'm really happy with those. I got them on the Black Friday sale because it basically was like 10% off and free shipping. So it's 20% off, which is, it basically covers the shipping and gives you an extra % off. think that's it for purchases. And then I got from Jessica, she got me a package. I'm just looking around to make sure I didn't forget anything. I don't think I did. Pattern, but Jessica gave me a Jimmy Beans Wool tea cakes box with reds and yellows, or sorry, oranges and yellows. There's one that's sort of a reddish orange, but these are all going to go in my blanket. And look at all the yellows. What? So beautiful. And she also sent me some little minis that are leftovers from her projects throughout the year. So that's always fun. And I can add those to my blanket as well, which will be getting some love as soon as I finish this test knit for Skananigans, who is now calling herself Ellie. And I love that name. It's super cute. Okay, that is pretty much everything I have to share with you in terms of yarn that I got. Kristen gifted me a copy of her Calanmai cowl because my business trip sucked and it was bad and I was having a horrible time and I was so sick. And yeah, she gifted me the pattern and sent me a very nice note. So I am going to cast on for that with again, skein of vintage Wollonvine in the Beach Bum colorway. This was, I think, like a one-of-a-kind skein, but before she called them Strange Brews. So it's like peach. It's got pink in it, and it's got like these neon orange. This is very outside of what she would ever dye now, but I love it. It's very my style. And I'm going to pair it with a skein of Toad Hollow Yarns mohair in the That'll Do Pig. So it's going to be floofy and peachy and so fun. And I'm going to put these beads on it. They are Earth Fair beads in the size 6. And they're like an iridescent clear bead. That's going to make a really nice Calanmai cowl. And I definitely want that to get on my needles pretty soon as well. Maybe also after the shawl. So maybe I'll go switch to accessories. Yeah. Yeah, accessories. Because I'll have a shawl that I want to work on. And this Calanmai. I also gifted my mom the Calanmai cowl for Christmas because she had some beads she wanted to use that she got in her Advent calendar, and I know she has some yarn from Kristen that's the Succulents colorway that I gifted to her, and she's got Ghost Lace and Volca, so it would make a really pretty cowl for her. She wears a lot of greens, so that'd be nice. Just saying, Mom. You know, hint, hint. You could knit along with me if you wanted to, maybe. So yeah, I'm going to sign off now. I'm not going to go into a lot of stuff that happened over Christmas just because you can watch my Vlogmas and my life is pretty boring in general. It was a lot of just getting Ada used to us, my business trip, and then Polar Express was the other big thing we did. Yeah. So I hope that everyone has a lovely December. Going into next year, I will be going into 2020, I will be hosting the Stash Your Shelf Challenge again. So definitely be thinking about what you want to use from your stash or shelf. I also will be hosting the Mohohi Cow, which will be anything Andrea Mowry or Joji Locatelli designed for the entirety of the year. And I'm going to work on knitting my way through my library of Andrea Mowry and Joji Locatelli patterns. I have a ton of them and I want to knit them all. Those are, I think, the two main knit-alongs I will be hosting. I might have something in the fall time frame, either a fall knit-along or a Halloween-y type knit-along. But we'll think about that when we get closer to the time frame. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for sticking with me. I am looking forward to a new year and a new decade. 2019 was kind of a difficult year for me, so I'm glad to see the tail end of it. And I think next year is my 5-year podiversary. So we'll have to do something special for being half a decade old. Yeah, so if I don't talk to you again before the new year, please spend some time doing the things that you love, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.